what's up? It's Richie here with Statifying Football. This is for the NFL Week 18, the final week of the season. I didn't do Week 17. It was the holidays and all, so jumping right in, a lot of interesting playoff scenarios this final week. It's one of the best weeks of the season. Saturday, there will be 2 games of some kind of importance. Kansas City and Denver. Kansas City still trying to play for a possible number 1 seed. KC, they lost to Cincinnati 34-31 last week. Pat Mahomes, 259 and 2 touchdowns, 414 total yards, but 10 penalties. And defensively at 4 sacks. Or Denver, they lost to the Chargers 34-13. Drew Lock passed for 245 and a touchdown. Micah Kaiser, 12 tackles, a tackle for loss. And Jonas Griffith, 12 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. I think KC has this easily. I don't know that they'll clinch the number 1 spot, but they should be able to get through Denver fine. All right, Dallas and Philly both are actually going to the playoffs. It's just a matter about seeding with this game and in conjunction with other games. Dallas lost to the Arizona Cardinals 25-22. Dak Prescott passed for 226, 3 touchdowns. Leighton Vander Esch had 10 tackles. Philadelphia, they beat Washington 20-16. Jalen Hurts, 214 passing and 44 rushing yards. TJ Edwards had 13 tackles. This is actually big for Dallas because if they lose and Arizona wins their game, Arizona actually wins the... that's not actually true. I think there might be a tiebreaker or something, but either way, it's for seeding. I think Dallas, though, ends up winning this game against Philly. Going into Sunday, Cincinnati-Cleveland. Cincinnati is a playoff spot. Cleveland's eliminated. Cincy beat Kansas City 34-31. Joe Burrow, 446 passing yards, 4 touchdown passes. Jamar Chase, 11 catches, 266 yards and 3 touchdowns. I set a rookie record for receiving yards in a game. I had 475 yards of offense. Chidobe Awuzie, 10 tackles. Cleveland lost 26-14 to Pittsburgh. Baker Mayfield, 185, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Grant Delpit, 11 tackles and a tackle for loss. Baker is not going to be playing this game. Cincy, I think they're fighting for some kind of different seeding. They may actually rest some players, but I still say Cincinnati should win the game. All right, Green Bay and Detroit. Green Bay doesn't have really anything to play. They could even sit Rodgers. They already locked up the number 1 seed. They destroyed Minnesota 37-10. Aaron Rodgers, 288, 2 touchdown passes. Devontae Adams, 11 catches, 136 and a touchdown, 481 yards of offense. Detroit lost to Seattle 51-29. Tim Boyle, 262, 2 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8 catches, 111 and a touchdown. They turned over 3 times and got 12 tackles from Tracy Walker. Neither team really has much to play for. In fact, Detroit, if they want a number 1 seed, they might want to lose. Either way, I still think Green Bay, even without Rodgers, is still a really good team and should be able to get by Detroit. All right, Chicago and Minnesota. Chicago beat the Giants 29-3. Andy Dalton, 173, a touchdown and a pick. Defensively, they only held the Giants to 151 total yards. They had 4 sacks, 4 turnovers, and a safety in the game. Minnesota didn't do anything against Green Bay, lost 37-10. Sean Mannion played for Kirk Cousins, passed for 189 and a touchdown. They only had 27 rushing yards in that game. It's kind of tough because neither team really has much to play for. Normally, if Kirk Cousins is playing, I'd say Minnesota. But I'm going to go ahead and go with Chicago with their defense. They'll end the season on a high note. All right, Washington and Giants. Again, neither team has much to play for. Washington lost 20-16 to Philadelphia. Taylor Heinicke passed for 247 and an interception. Cole Holcomb, 11 tackles at pass defense. And Cameron Curl had 10 tackles. Giants lost 29-3 to Chicago. Mike Lennon was fucking horrible. 4 of 11 for 24 yards and 2 interceptions in the game. Saquon Barkley actually did run for 102 yards. They had only 151 total yards and 4 turnovers in the game. Like I said, neither team has much to play for, but Washington is still the better team. And Washington, I think, wins. All right. Indianapolis Colts and Jacksonville. This is a big game for the Colts, and it could be a big game for other teams. If the Colts win, they are in the playoffs, and them winning will eliminate a few other teams. If they lose, it leaves things open for other teams. Indianapolis, they lost 23-20 to the Raiders. Carson Wentz 148 and a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor ran for 108 and a touchdown. Bobby Okereke 10 tackles against Jacksonville. Got lambasted by the New England Patriots 50-10. Trevor Lawrence 193 a touchdown, 3 interceptions. As much as other teams need the Colts to lose, I don't think they will. Jackson is terrible. I think Indianapolis wins, and Indy has something to play for as well that will clinch them a spot in the playoffs. All right, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Both teams are actually mathematically still alive for the playoffs. Pittsburgh, they beat Cleveland 26-14. Ben Roethlisberger passed for 123, a touchdown and a pick. Najee Harris ran for 188 and a touchdown. Defensively, he had 9 sacks in the game. TJ Watt had 4 of them, puts him at 21.5 sacks for the season. This extra game, he could actually set the NFL record. Michael Strahan set about 18 or so, 17 or so years ago with 22.5. So if TJ Watt gets 1.5 sacks in this game, he will set the record. Baltimore, they lost late to the Rams 20-19. Tyler Huntley passed for 197, interception, and ran for 54 yards. Defensively, forced 3 turnovers and had an interception return for a touchdown. So the playoff scenario for both teams, the Ravens win and the Colts lost and the Chargers lose and the Dolphins have to lose, which the Chargers and Dolphins losing is very possible, but Indy would have to lose to Jacksonville. For Pittsburgh to win, they have to win and the Colts loss and the Chargers-Raiders game, just as long as it doesn't end in a tie. So that's actually a more likely scenario for Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh, they're basically just going to be huge Jacksonville fans for the day as long as themselves to win that game. So that's actually a big matchup there, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. All right, Tennessee and Houston. Tennessee beat Miami 34-3. Ryan Tannehill, passed for 120 and 2 touchdowns. Deontay Foreman ran for 132 and a touchdown. They had 4 sacks defensively. Houston got beat by San Francisco 23-7. Davis Mills 163, 1 touchdown and a pick. Titans are already clinched a playoff spot, but if they want the number 1 seed, they have to win. Hope for a Chiefs loss and a Bengals loss and a Patriots loss, or a Chiefs loss and a Bengals loss and a Bills win. Going back to the Chiefs, if the Chiefs want the number 1 spot, they win and Tennessee loses. So Tennessee controls their own destiny in terms of getting a bye week and a number 1 seed. So it's a pretty big game between Tennessee and Houston. All right, New Orleans and Atlanta. Again, another big game for a playoff. The Saints are mathematically still alive for the playoffs. New Orleans beat Carolina 18-10. Taysom Hill passed for 222, a touchdown, ran for 45 yards. Defensively, had 7 sacks in the game and 3.5 by Cam Jordan, and held Carolina to 178 total yards. Atlanta lost 29-15 to the Bills. Matt Ryan passed for 197. Defensively, had 3 turnovers, a safety, and Foyesade Oluokun had 13 tackles and 2 pass defense. So I do think the Saints should be able to beat Atlanta, and their playoff scenario is Saints win and the 49ers lose to the Rams, which is possible, but the 49ers are actually the other team alive for this playoff scenario. If the 49ers win, they're in. If the Saints lose, the 49ers in. If the 49ers lose and the Saints win, then the Saints are actually in the playoffs. So it's a big game for the Saints if they want a possibility of making the playoffs. All right. Then you got the Jets and the Bills. Jets lost to Tampa on a late touchdown, 28-24. Zach Wilson, 234 and a touchdown. TJ Mosley had 13 tackles. They ran for 150 yards in that game. The Bills beat Atlanta 29-15. Josh Allen was terrible passing. 11 of 26, 123 interceptions. He did run for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. Devin Singletary ran for 110 and 2 touchdowns. They ran for 233 as a team, which might help them in the playoffs. And defensively had 5 sacks. I don't think the Bills will have too much trouble with the Jets. And the Bills still have a chance of winning the AFC East. If the Bills win or the Patriots lose, the Bills will win it. So that's big for them. All right, then you got San Francisco and the Rams. This is a pretty big game for multiple reasons there. One, just we'll go into what happened last week. San Francisco beat Houston 23-7. Trey Lance started and played pretty well. 249, 2 touchdowns and interception. Ran for 31 yards. Elijah Mitchell ran for 119. They had 416 total yards. Fred Warner had 15 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. And Marcel Harris had 10 tackles on pass defense. Rams, they just got by Baltimore 20-19. Matthew Stafford threw 9, 2 touchdowns, but threw 2 interceptions. They turned over 3 times in the game. Defensively had 5 sacks. And Troy Reader had 10 tackles, 1 sack, and 1 tackle for loss. So the playoff scenarios for that, if the 49ers win, they're in. If they lose and the Saints win, then the Saints are in. The Rams, they can clinch the NFC West title if they win or if the Cardinals lose that game. So this is bigger. Rams have already clinched a playoff spot, so this is a really big game for the 49ers. The Niners very well could win this game. The Rams have playing they won I think their last game, but playing very subpar. I think the Rams are actually gonna win this game and get in. I think the Niners might actually end up losing out on a spot. So I'm gonna go Rams to win, but that would be a really interesting game to keep an eye on for multiple teams around the NFC side, especially. All right, then you got New England and Miami. New England, they destroyed Jacksonville 50-10. Mac Jones 227, 3 touchdowns. Ramondre Stevenson ran for 107, 2 touchdowns. They had 471 yards of offense. Forced 3 turnovers in the game. Miami lost 34-3 to Tennessee. Tua Tagovailoa passed for 205 and a pick. Christian Wilkins 11 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. The Patriots have already clinched a playoff spot, but they can still win. They can actually get a number 1 spot if they win and the Bills, Titans, and Chiefs all lose. At the very least, they are up for the AFC East title. If the Patriots win and the Bills lose, then the Patriots will win that title. So there's quite a bit for them to still play for, including a number 1 seed in a bye week in the first round. All right, then you got Seattle and Arizona. Arizona's already clinched a spot, but they could win the NFC West title if they win and the Rams lose. So Seattle, they destroyed Detroit 51-29. Russell Wilson 236, 4 touchdowns. Rashad Penny ran for 170 and 2 touchdowns at 497 total yards. Defensively forced 3 turnovers and got 10 tackles from Jordan Brooks. Arizona, they beat Dallas 25-22. Kyler Murray 263, 2 touchdowns and ran for 44 yards. And Isaiah Simmons had 10 tackles in that game. This actually could go back and forth. Seattle still has Russell Wilson. They very well could beat the Cardinals in this game. I'm going to go with Arizona, though, to win it and put themselves in a position for the NFC West title. All right, and 2 more games, Carolina and Tampa Bay. Carolina lost 18-10 in New Orleans. Sam Darnold only passed for 132 and 1 interception. They had 178 total yards. Tampa came back. They struggled a lot against Jets, but they still won 20-24. Tom Brady passed for 410, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Gronkowski had 7 catches, 115, and had 467 total yards. This is kind of big for seeding. The Bucs have already clinched a playoff spot. They won the NFC South. If they win and the Rams lose, Tampa Bay actually would get the number 2 seed. If they win and the Rams win, then I think the Bucs should be able at least to get a 3 seed. So there's some significance to this game. And I think the Rams, they're a much better team than Carolina and should beat them as well. And the final game of the day is a pretty big one in the AFC. It's the Chargers and the Raiders. Both can try for a spot. The Chargers, they beat Denver 34-13. Justin Herbert 237, 2 touchdowns. They had a kick return for a touchdown by Andre Roberts, and Kaiser White had 11 tackles. Vegas Raiders, they beat Indianapolis, which was a huge win for them, and they won 23-20. Derek Carr 255, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and Zay Jones 8 catches from 120 yards. So the significance of that is whoever wins the game is in. Whoever loses the game is not necessarily eliminated. So the Raiders, if they win, they're in. Or if the Colts lose and the Steelers lose, the Raiders are in. So basically, by the time this game is played on Sunday night, this is the prime time, 8 o'clock, 8:20 Sunday night game. all the other results will be in, then this will be basically an elimination game or just a game for either one to get in. And it seems though like if the Chargers though, if they lose, it seems like they are out. So this is actually a pretty big game for them. I'm actually going to go with the Chargers to win. I think the Chargers are a better team than the Raiders. The Raiders, like I said, by the time this happens, they would need the Colts and Steelers to lose. Steelers losing is a possibility. Colts have to lose to Houston. So the Raiders, this may come down to be basically a de facto playoff game. Should be an interesting game though. I'm going to go with the Chargers to win. So those are my final picks of the regular season. I will pick the playoff games once they are settled and set up. Check out my other videos and my national championship game videos later. Peace.